tourists, diplomats, emergency and commercial flights. Border with Kenya at Horohoro closed to transport vehicles and Kenyan nationals. And in sports, Yanga chairman Mshindo Msola calls on club's former leaders to discuss how to help former player Lawrence Mwalsuko. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get things started with the national news. The government of Tanzania has announced that it will, as from today, open its skies, which have been closed since April of this year due to the coronavirus. The announcement was made by the Minister of Works and Transport Communication, Engineer Isaac Kamwelwe, in Dodoma, who said that the aircrafts carrying assistance, tourists, diplomats, emergency flights, as well as commercial flights will be allowed to land and fly through Tanzania's skies.
Restriction measures were adopted by many countries in the world as a move of combating the spread of coronavirus, after it was revealed that air transportation was one among the major contributions on a spread of COVID-19. So far, combating measures have remained firm, with the number of victims decreasing in the country. Thus, the government is officially announcing to open our air from today, 18th May 2020. Following this announcement, I direct Tanzania Airport Authority TCAA to inform International Airport Authority on this decision. Meanwhile, cargo lorries will be allowed to travel from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. In that case, no vehicle will be allowed to travel at night. Also, drivers who will be passing through custom centers at the borders should not take long time to complete all necessary procedures.
TANGA Region Commissioner Martin Shigella has directed the defense and security organs to close its border at Horohoro with Kenya and prohibits transport vehicles carrying cargo as well as Kenyan nationals from entering the country. The directive comes after President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya closed its borders due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Honestly, they have affected us in one way or another, including many Tanzanians, products that were to be transported, and the worst part is they have continued to enjoy freedom that is available in our country. As a regional commissioner, I will not accept this. That is why I am here to direct all authorities at this border from now onwards should not allow any truck or vehicle from Kenya to pass through the border. I want improvement of this border for all who want to pass here. If they are trucks which are going to Rwanda, DRC, Malawi, Zambia and Uganda. These days they do not even allow us to go and buy salt to their side, saying that we have corona, while they are easily walking through our borders to get all their necessary needs and services without any problem. Something must be done. What we're going to do is improve more security to make sure that the border area is safe. Honestly, there has been no crimes at the border due to the amount of population available currently at the border.
Some members of parliament have called on the government to come up with strategies which will find a lasting solution to the problem of a sugar shortage. The members of parliament made the call when contributing to the miscellaneous amendment laws, which was tabled in parliament by the Attorney General.
Collection charges must be met by the supplier. The consumer's duty should be to pay the bill. There is a proposal to amend Section 4 by including a subsection intended to pay the council for choosing a representative from various institutions.
Meanwhile, Speaker of the National Assembly, Job Dugai, said the central government will be tabled on June 11th, the same day other member countries of the East African Community will be unveiling the government budgets instead of this Wednesday as had been planned.
Ministers of Finance have agreed that on 11th of June should be the day to read the budget, so the budget of Tanzania will also be read on that date.
Defense and security organs in Kagera region have implemented an operation and arrested suspects who had planned to burn down Christian churches in the region after religious leaders decided to close churches as part of measures against the coronavirus pandemic.
There has been some threatening incidences in some parts of Kagera region, including torching of religious houses due to failing to get their regular services, and to stop taking laws into their own hands, because those are murder charges. It is important for people to remain patient. As the government, we have took necessary measures already. For those who are sending informations of determination to burn down churches, we regard them as criminals because that is not faith of any religion. We urge people to remain calm at this era and also obedient to their leaders, whether you approve or you disapprove their decisions on your behalf.
The Deputy Minister of Livestock and Fisheries, Abdallah Ulega, said that construction of a modern abattoir in Vingunguti costing 12.4 billion shillings has reached 85% and is expected to be opened as well as start functioning after all machines have been set up in July, making it the largest modern abattoir in the country.
There are still vast opportunities in the livestock sector where I am calling on Tanzanians with enough capital to invest in the sector. The fifth phase government has set good strategies for the sector to excel and grow our economies through the sector. Previously, we used to spend over 10 billion shillings on importation of meat, but right now that is history. Contractors and engineers have done an excellent job day and night to complete this project on time. As a municipal, our expectations are to increase revenue collections from this new abattoir. We are also looking forward in production of high quality of meat, create more employment opportunities.
The Minister of Energy, Dr. Medad Kalimani, said that he will not hesitate to remove from office TANESCO managers that fail to end power outage issues in their regions, which inconveniences residents.
We shall take stern measures to our managers. We started to test our managers with 3 major categories. The first category is power cut in his zone. Secondly, connecting customers on time. And thirdly is customer service. Whoever will not perform well in these 3 categories will immediately be removed from office. Thus, all managers in the country need to adhere and be prepared to face these tests. Electricity was an issue. We used to use traditional means of putting light into our homes. We're extremely happy right now. Our communities are shining at night. That is why we are all gathered here to thank you in person.
The government of South Korea, through Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, has given aid and equipment worth $12,300 to help government efforts to reduce COVID-19 infections, as well as help healthcare workers in the front lines in Dar es Salaam, Arusha, Dodoma, Mbeya, Mwanza, and Zanzibar fight against the disease.
So, who's the member KOICA training programs participant in Korea. So far we have the 3,000 the KOICA alumni members in Tanzania. So the KOICA and KOICA Alumni Association in Tanzania work together in responding to COVID-19 very closely. So the mask and sanitizers are bought in Tanzania.
And that's all for the national news. International news is next. And now in international news. 25 more patients have tested positive for COVID-19 in Kenya, bringing the tally of coronavirus cases in the country to 912. The new patients, among them 23 Kenyans and 2 Somali nationals, were confirmed following the testing of 1,139 samples over the last 24 hours.
Our surveillance and case management team tested 1,139 samples in the last 24 hours. Out of this number, 25 have tested positive for coronavirus. This brings to 912 the total number of positive cases in Kenya. 23 of these positive cases are male and 2 are female. The youngest case is 22 years old, while the oldest is 50 years. Cumulatively, the cases so far tested are 44,851.
19 patients have recovered from the coronavirus in Rwanda, while 3 new cases have been confirmed from the virus after 1,135 samples were tested in the last 24 hours. This is the biggest number of recoveries to be reported since the outbreak of the coronavirus in the country on the 14th of March this year.
One could wonder, how does a COVID-19 patient recover? Firstly, by getting to the patient on time before the virus spreads. Then the immunity in his body helps the patient to recover.
The Ministry of Health in Uganda has said that 21 more people have tested positive for the coronavirus, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 248. Ministry officials say the cases were confirmed from 1,071 samples and that they are Ugandan nationals from Elegu, Mtukula and Malaba.
We had hoped that the president would ease restrictions and allow people to go back to work. We asked the president to open up shops. Our children are at home with nothing to eat. This should be left to scientists because they are our eyes.
Residents in Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo have expressed concern on increasing insecurity caused by attacks being carried out by unidentified people, despite the presence of peacekeepers from the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the country, MONUSCO.
They fired. As you can see, there is so much blood. 2 bodies were laid here. They take them by force and kill them.
And that's it for the international news. We'll be back with business news after this short break.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to the digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production. Infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back, and now in business news. The Minister of Minerals, Dr. Biteko, has said despite challenges brought on by the coronavirus and heavy rains, the mineral sector has continued to perform well, with revenue from the sector growing by 1.5% in 2018 to 17% last year.
Tunakusanya kwa wastani wa bilioni 39 kwa mwezi.
We collect an average of 39 billion every month. In April, we collected 58 billion. This has never happened in the mineral sector in this country. We've done well in collection and managing small miners, but we must go to the next level. There is nothing that hurts us like a mine that is being mined. There are officers present, yet you hear 15 people have been killed. Today we've come to give them training on risk management and on how to document risk.
A day after President Dr. John Magufuli announced his intention to reopen higher learning institutions, the Premier League, and allow tourists to visit the country, some residents in Dodoma have commended the decision, saying that it will speed up economic growth.
We support him 100%. He is a leader that cares for his people first by helping us not to be afraid, and has also focused on our economy through our tourism sector. It is a positive move because as a nation we cannot be at a standstill and abandon every economic activity because of corona, when even experts don't have an idea when it is going to end or what the treatment is going to be. All airport staff are now being tested. So far, by a large extent, they are okay, as well as ATC staff. They too have been tested. Only those who test negative will be allowed to serve.
Women and youth entrepreneurs in NGORONGORO district, Arusha region, have found economic opportunities in production of sanitizers and face masks in the fight against the coronavirus after undergoing training provided by Health and Development Organization HIMD.
In order to contribute in NGORONGORO district, HIMD has decided to train entrepreneurs on how to protect oneself and carry on with work by learning to make masks and liquid soap so they can earn a living. We received training on how to make and use masks so as to protect ourselves from the coronavirus.
That's all for business news. Sports is up next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment of going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going big drag through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment of going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going big drag through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Position, Joaquinho, he did lose to Len.
And now in sports. The Young Africans Football Club chairman, Mshindo Msola, has called on former leaders of the club to discuss on how they can help former player Lawrence Mwalusako in getting medical treatment.
There is hope, but when someone is in ICU, visitation is not allowed. Only a few people with proper permits are allowed. So most of us are providing support in other things. We, as the club, since he's a legend who played well for the club and he was a leader who assisted in producing the 2010 Constitution, I will sit with my fellows and see how we can help him to proceed well with treatment.
About 500 traders and their customers at Tandale and Mabibo markets have received free masks from Simba Sports Club, being measures to support the fight against the coronavirus.
The challenge is the demand is high. Dar alone has more than 5 million people, and we had prepared 25,000 masks for the first phase. So the demand is high. So we're preparing ourselves, and hopefully we will come with the second phase where we will hand out more masks.
Premier League training will resume this week after clubs unanimously agreed to a set of medical protocols to keep players safe amid the coronavirus pandemic. Here's more.
The decision was taken at a league shareholders meeting and allows clubs to undertake limited group-based training from Tuesday afternoon, provided a first round of COVID-19 testing proves negative. The protocols were put to a vote after weeks of preparation and some dissent from club doctors and players. They are the first stage in the proposed return of the Premier League. The protocols enabled social distance training, and further protocols will need to be devised to enable contact training and ultimately matches. It was acknowledged at the meeting that the stages to come will prove more difficult, with more work still to be done.
Jurgen Klopp says Liverpool will be mentally and physically ready for the resumption of the Premier League season, and football will remain a wonderful game even when played at empty stadiums. Here are more details.
Most only 2 wins from claiming their first league title for 30 years and could return to training in small groups on Tuesday, providing the Project Restart plan is approved. The first stage would see players tested for COVID-19 twice a week. Several Premier League players, however, have voiced concerns over protocols for the next high-risk phase of training, and Project Restart rests on gaining their consent. Those concerns are just one complication in the Premier League's aim to restart on 12th or 19th of June, with clubs wanting 2 weeks of contact training before returning to competitive action.
Frank Lampard is determined to convince Chelsea's out-of-contract players to sign short-term extensions in order to see out the delayed Premier League season at Stamford Bridge.
Willian and Olivier Giroud are among the players whose existing deals expire on 30th of June, but new rules introduced because of the coronavirus pandemic will allow them to strike mutual deals to complete the campaign. Premier League clubs are meeting again this week to discuss the next stage of Project Restart, with more Chelsea players expected to return to training at Cobham by the middle of next week. Lampard's squad is potentially on a tight schedule, with 12 June still being mooted as the prospective return date, despite a number of top players including Raheem Sterling and Danny Rose expressing misgivings.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. On behalf of everyone who worked to prepare this bulletin for you, my name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and good night.